When rumours of an anime art style for Need for Speed Unbound started circulating, players were worried. Would it be a weird anime aesthetic that would end up alienating fans? Is it just the result of the game jumping on a trend? And will the game be compromised as a result? Well, those worried Need for Speed fans were finally given some visuals to take in when the gameplay trailer dropped. And in all honesty, most if not all of those worries were misplaced. Not only that, but it turns out RacingGames and EA have taken a step that RacingGames have been crying out for. We just didn't realise it until we were shown it. I'm Mark from RacingGames, and here's how Need for Speed Unbound is making its own mark, not just in the franchise, but in the entire racing game genre. As graphics engines have improved, the push for photorealism in racing games has been all out. While each franchise retains its own style, from F1 to Gran Turismo and Assetto Corsa, every racing game once you hit the track basically looks the same. That's usually down to the fact that these games use mostly the same cars on the same tracks, but it isn't only for that reason. Even titles like Forza Horizon 5 that push realism to its limit with the gameplay still stick to a realistic art style. That's why the leaks about Need for Speed Unbound were so surprising, because while Need for Speed has always gone for bright, vibrant cars and larger-than-life action, the art style has usually been within the bounds of racing and realism. Yes, we've had cutscenes resembling comic book pages, and even sepia-infected green screen cringiness, but once you're on the road, it's back to realism. You'd think that it would be the same for Unbound, but now that we've seen it, it all makes sense. The new art style of Need for Speed Unbound is not just eye-catching, but engrossing too. The flair and style of Need for Speed Unbound has immediately captured the imagination of players everywhere thanks to its uniqueness, and that's the point. Just because we're in the age of the PS5, Xbox Series X and S and super powerful graphics cards, doesn't mean the only way to get the most out of them is by making all games photorealistic, and Need for Speed Unbound could end up being the catalyst for a new movement when it comes to video game visuals. Before we move on, have you subscribed to RacingGames yet? Just one click and you're on the RacingGames grid. Oh, and hit that notification bell too so you never miss an upload. Alright, on with the video. The huge visual shake-up to the racing scene Need for Speed Unbound provided with its reveal has been captured in the imaginations of players everywhere. It sparked conversation across social media and ideas about what other developers could do to make their game stand out, and we here at RacingGames think that's the exact shot in the arm the series needed. Need for Speed is the last standing arcade racing franchise of any serious note, meaning it can take some risks when it comes to presentation, but with such a strong reception, maybe it will become a trendsetter once again. The Need for Speed series had hit a few bumps in the road, but Need for Speed Heat steadied the slide, setting things up perfectly for Unbound to come in and rip up the rulebook. While the genre of racing has taken off in the last few years, every game sort of feels the same, be it Automobilista 2, R-Factor 2, or Assetto Corsa Competizione. But Need for Speed is taking a stand against that bland and realistic aesthetic. Need for Speed Unbound takes artistic license in a way we haven't seen from a racing game in a long time. For those who aren't a fan of the game's look, almost all of the artsy style can be turned off by players. For those who are intrigued by the new look, its existence seems to show Criterion's desire to really give players a feast for the senses. The question now is, can the art style stand up when the shock and novelty wears off? We think it can. 2019's Need for Speed Heat showed off a bright neon Miami world that, while stylized, could have been from any other developer under any other title. Unbound looks like nothing else, and in a totally unexpected way, yet is still in keeping with the style Need for Speed has always pushed to the forefront. Now of course, Need for Speed Unbound will live and die by much more than its art style, but the reception could hardly have been better. The game has been positioned perfectly to both attract players with its art style, yet still appeal to the OG Need for Speed fans who would rather switch off the anime elements. Ultimately, the handling, story, customization and multiplayer will all determine if Need for Speed Unbound is a success, but the hype generated by an unexpected visual style should be a huge inspiration for others. And we just can't wait to see the results both from Need for Speed Unbound and eventually the new titles that will no doubt follow. What do you think? Were you attracted to the new art style, Or would you rather things just stayed as they were? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to join in on the conversation. For now though, thanks for watching. I've been Mark from RacingGames. Please like and subscribe for all things Need for Speed Unbound, and now I'm off to prepare my eyes for the visual masterpiece that is hopefully coming their way.